There was a stretch a few years ago where the Cleveland Browns went a combined 1-31 in 2 seasons. After that followed a couple of mediocre seasons, but then everything changed. In 2020, under new head coach Kevin Stefanski and a new GM in Andrew Berry, the Browns went 11-5 and made the playoffs for the first time since 2002. That means the Browns went 17 years without making the playoffs, which I would think has to be the longest drought in the NFL at that time. Even after having one of the worst rosters in the NFL, probably the worst back in 2016 and 2017, the Browns, at least in my opinion, have a top 5 roster in the NFL in 2021. Most people, myself included, think the Browns improved even more this offseason, so the sky is the limit for this Browns team in my opinion. Can they win the Super Bowl? I think it's a possibility. It should at least amount into a deep playoff run, I'll put it that way. So with that said, here are my 3 expectations for the Cleveland Browns in 2021. Number 1, Andrew Berry wins Executive of the Year in the NFL. So I know that he did not draft Baker Mayfield and Myles Garrett and some other guys on that team, but that guy has been phenomenal since taking over the Browns GM spot last offseason. So Berry took over after the 2019 season. That season, the Browns got Odell Beckham. There were some people putting in Super Bowl bets for the Browns, and they severely disappointed, going 6-10. So Berry inherited a pretty decent offensive line, especially on the interior. A guy like Wyatt Taylor really came around. J.C. Treader was still there, but he really finished off this offensive line by completing the tackle spots. The Browns had a lot of issues at tackle, especially left tackle, before Andrew Berry got there. Then he got Jedrick Wills. He signed Jack Conklin, who played very well. Both guys played very well. And now the Browns have probably one of the best offensive lines in football. And he's made some really nice free agent signings. He got John Johnson, the athletic safety from the Rams. I love that pickup. It was a 3-year contract, under $40 million, I believe. They got Jadeveon Clowney on a 1-year deal, and I think Clowney actually has somewhat of a bounce back year. I don't expect 15 sacks, but I think Clowney will play well for this team. He's severely disappointed for the Titans last year, did not stay healthy, so I think this year will be different for him. They signed Malik Jackson, who, yes, is in his early 30s, but I still think Jackson's a pretty productive player. He'll replace Sheldon Richardson, who they cut just a couple months ago. And they also signed Troy Hill from the Rams, so they got another player from the Rams secondary. I think Hill's a pretty good outside corner. He's now 29 years old, but he's been very good the past couple years, so that looks like a good signing. And in the draft, Andrew Berry added guys like Jedrick Wills, of course, to play left tackle, played well last year. Grant Delpit comes back from his Achilles tear. That, of course, was a tough loss for them, but that guy has amazing ball skills, great athlete. Harrison Bryant at tight end had some nice games for them, scored some touchdowns last year. Donovan Peoples-Jones had some big plays for them, of course. He's a big receiver. Greg Newsome in the first round this year, I think a very underrated cornerback. He was phenomenal in 2020. And of course, adding Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah in the second round. There was a medical issue apparently, but I think he'll be fine. That was a phenomenal pick in the second round. I figured he would go in the middle of the first round, so I love that pick as well. And obviously, Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year last year, so it seems like the NFL is catching on to what the Browns are doing. Of course, it can't go unnoticed. I feel like Andrew Berry, if the Browns have another good year, make the playoffs, get 11, 12 wins or something like that again, I feel like he has a really legitimate shot to win Executive of the Year. Number 2 for me is that the Browns will make the playoffs again. I know it's not the most bold prediction out there, but once again, it's an expectation. So as mentioned, they missed the playoffs for 17 straight seasons. The Browns have not made the playoffs in consecutive years since 1988 and 1989. I was not born yet, so a very long time ago. Now, I do think the Ravens have a good team. I respect what they got going on. If Lamar Jackson becomes a better pocket passer, then watch out, of course. The Steelers, I don't know, maybe Ben Roethlisberger has himself a good year, but that really all depends on him. The offensive line in Pittsburgh's not looking as good as it used to, so that may be an issue for them. And even the Bengals, they should be on the come up. I don't expect them to make the playoffs, but they should be at least a competitive team here in 2021. So the AFC North's not the toughest division in football, but still, it's up there. There is some talent there. It's not the easiest, I will say that. If Baker Mayfield stays the same or gets better, which could happen in year 2 of this offense, if their defense gets better, which I think will happen because they've added a ton of talent here the past couple years, if the offensive line just stays the same or maybe gets a bit better if that's possible, this team should be a top 5 team roster-wise in football. I've seen no reason why they can't make the playoffs once again. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, because if I said this a year ago, you guys would think I'm crazy, but I would almost be shocked if the Browns did not make the playoffs here in 2021. And number 3 for me, Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry combined for 2,000 receiving yards in 2021. Now, this all depends on the health of Odell Beckham. I get that he's had a lot of rough injury seasons the past 4 years. I feel like the ankle in 2017, he had something in 2018 and missed the final month of the year for the Giants. 2019, he played all 16 games but had like core surgery. He had a core injury the entire year, and then of course tore his ACL after 7 games last year. So it's a lot to ask for, I get it, but Odell Beckham is still probably a top 10 wide receiver in football when he's healthy. Jarvis Landry is a consistent player. He puts up between 800 and 1,200 yards every year. He's very consistent, and I personally believe Odell has a nice bounce back year this year. Of course, it all depends on his health, which is very risky, I get that, but he's still a really good player. And the last time time he played a full season, he had over 1,000 yards playing through an injury. So I feel like if Odell comes back and actually plays healthy, he's still a very scary wide receiver in this league. So if Odell can get 1,100 yards and Jarvis Landry can get 900 yards, then boom, there's your 2,000 yards right there. I know it's probably more complex than that, but that's the way I did it in my head. So Kevin Stefanski, he loves to run the ball. I get that. The Browns will probably be top 5, top 10 in rushing attempts this year, but Cleveland does have some guys that can make big plays, and Odell Beckham's one of them. Jarvis Landry had over 100 targets last year, so they will get theirs. It may not be, 160 targets and 130 targets, but still, they will get their targets. They will make some big plays, and I feel like they will make this happen. It all depends on their health, of course. Jarvis should be fine. It depends on Odell's health. If he plays, I expect this to happen in 2021. So that'll do it for this video of my 3 expectations for the Cleveland Browns. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Next video, we have the Dallas Cowboys, a team I'm not really a big fan of, but I will try to be honest and objective with that one. But Dallas should be fun. They disappointed last year. I actually had them going, I think 12-4 or 11-5 last year. That was definitely off, so my fault. But Dallas has an interesting season ahead of them. We'll find out what happens with them. But hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys next time.